When a new technology arrives, the words we use to describe it dictate how we interact with it. We stare deeply into a complex system of computer code, and we instinctively look for something we recognize. We adopt metaphors to make sense of the machine. In public discourse, artificial intelligence is frequently described as a study buddy, a wise old friend, or a child learning about the world. These metaphors create a psychological vulnerability. Our brains are wired to project human traits, specifically warmth and competence, onto these systems. We start assuming the software possesses empathy and actual intelligence. Viewing a machine as a caring, human-like entity bypasses our critical thinking. If we believe the interface is looking out for our best interests, we begin to trust its outputs unconditionally. This reliance on friendly language is a trap. It places a comforting mask over the interface, completely blinding us to the cold, mechanical reality operating underneath. The legal reality of this technology sits in sharp contrast to the fantasy. The European Union's AI Act explicitly defines an AI as a machine-based system designed to infer patterns from input data to generate predictions or content that influence environments. Take large language models, or LLMs. An LLM is a type of AI trained on massive amounts of text to predict the next most statistically likely word in a sequence. They assemble sentences based entirely on mathematical probability, operating without any actual comprehension, awareness, or intent. Philosopher Harry Frankfurt outlined a concept that fits this mechanism perfectly: the bullshit generator. He used this term to describe a speaker that is entirely unconcerned with objective truth, prioritizing only the delivery of plausible-sounding output. This indifference to reality is exactly why these systems can confidently generate deepfakes, manipulative misinformation, and hallucinations. A hallucination occurs when an AI confidently presents false or invented information as absolute fact, simply because the math aligned. By treating a statistical generator like an all-knowing oracle, we surrender our cognitive autonomy to a black box, a system where the internal decision-making process is hidden and impossible for users to trace, just because it successfully mimics human conversation. If we strip away the friendly UI, the power dynamic reverses. The machine is actively observing the user, engaging in a continuous, non-consensual harvest of human data. The system extracts highly specific physical and behavioral data points from our daily environments. It logs facial tracking vectors, analyzes vocal tones, and measures our exact keyboard clicks. This vast collection of biometric data feeds a core mechanic: pattern recognition. The algorithm sifts through the noise to find correlations, grouping individual users into predictable, quantifiable categories. Processing data at this scale requires immense physical computing power. The digital extraction we experience on our phones is directly tied to the real-world energy consumption and heavy environmental impact of massive server farms. The system is not a conscious observer. It is a resource-hungry extraction machine built to reduce human complexity into profitable mathematical patterns. We see the consequences of this extraction in AI recruitment algorithms. Corporate tools now analyze job candidates, claiming they can accurately measure an applicant's culture fit. The technology assumes it can objectively measure inner character and predict future success purely by observing physical traits and behavioral microexpressions during an interview. This diagram illustrates how an AI scoring system evaluates a candidate. It forces human input shapes through a rigid, uniform corporate template to enforce what scholars call a grammar of regularities. This system grades human behavior against a pre-programmed set of normative expectations derived entirely from past successful employees. The grading system actively penalizes anyone whose behavior, speech, or physical movement deviates from the historical norm, creating automated discrimination. Machine learning models operate on a strict algorithmic rule: truth equals repetition. The machine will only validate predictions that perfectly match the biases already present in its historical training data. The tool does not predict a better future or discover the ideal employee. It actively produces conformity by ruthlessly enforcing the discriminatory biases of the past. We walk through a digital environment assuming we are making free choices. In reality, the architecture around us is actively curated by predictive algorithms. Artificial intelligence is not a transparent window showing us the world. It operates as a distorted mirror, reflecting and amplifying our own historical flaws back at us. These predictive algorithms trap users in preference bubbles. A preference bubble is a unique, isolated universe of information tailored to each user that alters the ideas they encounter. It continuously feeds us information that reinforces our existing views, usually to serve a commercial or political goal. Enclosed in this loop, the algorithm limits our exposure to difficult information and opposing viewpoints. It prioritizes keeping the user comfortably engaged so they stay on the platform longer. If we passively accept this distorted reflection as our actual reality, we surrender our agency to a system designed entirely to exploit our predictability. Breaking out of the algorithmic loop requires critical AI literacy. This is the necessary countermeasure to transition from a passive consumer to an active digital citizen, someone who uses the internet regularly and effectively to participate responsibly in society. You have to take specific defensive actions. This means rigorously fact-checking AI-generated content against primary sources and modifying user configurations to block unauthorized data tracking from your devices. We must also develop computational thinking. Computational thinking means solving problems by structuring them into steps, patterns, and logical rules, just like a computer would. Understanding the step-by-step logic rules the AI uses allows us to anticipate and bypass its manipulations. We must remember that ethical reasoning, empathy, and the application of moral values are capabilities strictly unique to humans. They cannot be outsourced to a machine. Surviving the algorithmic future requires refusing to be reduced to a passive data point. We have to actively shatter the algorithmic mirror and reclaim our human autonomy.